Hello and welcome back to the top 8 of today's standard $5,000 Team Trios qualifier at the Apex Gaming home store in Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Ross Merriam, joined in the booth by Corey Baumeister. Corey, we have reached the elimination rounds.
I love it. Nothing better than a new format and seeing everybody playing for everything. And the top 8 looks pretty good. Really diverse. Izzet seems to be still the deck of the tournament, but overall, pretty nice.
Yeah, we have no deck, with 8 teams of 3 in the top 8. There's 24 players in the elimination rounds. No deck represented with more than 4 copies. So no deck above 17% of the metagame or so. And this is just week 1, pre-release weekend, I imagine, as players test more of the cards, tune new decks, and acquire the cards themselves. We might see more of it.
I was still wondering how people got really any of the Edge of Eternity cards. You have to just open them, I feel. Maybe there's some ways to purchase them on the black market, I assume, but it seems like the only way.
Yeah, there was a lot of wheeling and dealing in dark alleys.
I knew it
for our players this week, but for a lot of them, it has paid off, and we have 24 players still vying for their spots in the Apex Invitational coming up later this year.
Yep.
As for the match that we are going to watch, we have your number 1 overall seeded team. They were undefeated in the Swiss. They were actually the unlucky 3-0 team. There were 3 teams to get to 3-0. They were the ones that got pared down in round 4. But by virtue of winning that match, they now have the best record in the Swiss.
True.
They're going to be on the play throughout the elimination rounds. And in team events, that's a huge deal.
Huge deal. Yeah, you just won 3 die rolls. And it is our most accomplished player in the field, Derek Davis, fresh off a top 32 at Pro Tour Final Fantasy. Lost his last round against Edgar Magaish, who ended up taking 9th, and has just been deep in those Pro Tours over and over and over again. So, a phenomenal Magic player.
Yeah, he's brought a couple of friends along with him, and they are testing their mettle here on the Apex series, and so far passing that test.
Yeah.
In the top 8, Derek Davis, along with Charles Eiler and Richard Adams, his 2 teammates, are going to be up against our one team that made it in at 3-2. This team that snuck in on tiebreakers, so they're playing with a little bit of house money. It's the team of John Alloy, D'Artagnan Fail, and Kevin Fieber.
Yes.
John Alloy, of course, playing that incredibly interesting Teamer, Outcaster, Trailblazer combo deck.
That Carplesian Forest up there, right?
Yeah, no Carplesian Forest anymore.
We corrected those, yeah.
On my off round, I actually watched his match playing out, and I saw the deck when it fully comboed. And
yeah.
Wow.
It looks sweet.
You draw a lot of cards.
I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, absolutely. Really exciting that they snuck in, only team to make it in at 3-2. Should be a really nice match here.
Yeah, so the 3 matches that we have in the feature match area between these 2 teams, starting at the top, we have Charles Eiler on Izzet Cauldron against John Alloy on that Teamer combo deck.
Yep.
We also have Derek Davis on Izzet Cauldron against Dart Fail on Jeskai Control. And then the match we're going to be starting with, that is Richard Adams on Mono Green Landfall, a deck we have not seen yet today, going up against Kevin Fieber on Izzet Prowess, a different flavor of Spire Bluff Canal deck. What do you think about this Landfall deck, Corey?
Every single time I'm like, wow, every time I get paired against it when I'm testing on Arena or whatever, I'm like, this is going to be easy. This is going to be a meme. And then all of a sudden, my opponent just attacked me for 16. This deck does some disgusting things. Tifa Lockhart is kind of the card that this deck is built around. It's just a 1-2, but keeps doubling over and over again. And when you have cards like Springbloom Druid, you have the format's fetch lands of choice, Fabled Passage, and the admittedly much worse Escape Tunnel. It still can do some really, really disgusting things out of nowhere. You get old Bristly Bill, which is just an incredible card that hasn't gotten any love. And then maybe the best 1-drop in the format. I won't slander Llanowar Elves like this, so maybe the second best. But Sauce's Chocobo. That card can get absolutely out of hand. Getting a counter on that every time is big game.
Yeah, so this is a matchup where Kevin Fieber is going to have to play very defensively.
Yes.
You don't want to leave open any space for this Mono Green Landfall deck to get a huge hit in. Like you said, it can deal 16 out of nowhere, maybe even 32 with another land.
Yeah, no kidding. And nobody can count higher than that if they double it past 32, so we'll just hope. No. Can't be done.
I can count pretty high, Corey.
Okay,
Especially by
whatever.
powers of 2.
What a show off.
I am a certified number scientist.
Okay. Gotcha. Sorry, I'll show you some more respect.
Please do. Okay, looks like our players are ready in the feature match area, so let's head on down there and get these quarterfinals underway. So, we have Richard Adams there on your right, Kevin Feber on your left. As we said, the team of Derek Davis, Richard Adams, and Charles Eiler will be on the play in all 3 matches for Game 1. That's very important for this Landfall deck. They love to be on the play.
Definitely. Yeah, you love to be on the play. You love to have Saz's Chocobo and just kind of go to town. Now, that being said, Kevin Ferber's list of Izzet is about as controlling as it can get. You know, I mean, there's not huge differences, but, you know, there is kind of maxing out in removal with the 4 towards the tower. You know, fire magics are in the board. Those could be pretty nice. You don't see Richard's deck really going wide. It really goes tall, but still a card that if you can get a 2-for-1, even for 3 mana, excellent.
Yeah. One thing I see about Kevin's list, though, not as many ways to deal with large creatures. 1 Roaring Furnace, 2 into the Floodmaw in the main. Everything else is dealing 3 or less damage. So if Richard Adams can, protect one of his creatures from into the Floodmaw or Furnace, or have a window to get one out of range of those cheaper burn spells, things could snowball very quickly in Adams' favor.
Yep, absolutely. And playing a little bit of spice from the new set, Kevin is playing the Quantum Riddler, playing 2 of those. Card looks sweet. It does look really powerful, being able to have a 2-mana cantrip as well as a late game. 5 mana 4/6 is big. There's not a lot of removal spells that's dealing with that outside of hard removal, like Shoot the Sheriff, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think this is a matchup where Feber wants to turn the corner.
Yeah.
You don't want to give the Landfall deck too much time to get back into it, find more land drops critically. So if he can play defense early, get to that Quantum Riddler, that might be a way to close out the game very easily.
Really strange to me that, the 1 Cauldron in these decks has just become stock. I'm just looking at this deck. There are 6 creatures. This just does not seem like a deck where you have to play that Soul Cauldron, besides the fact that you looked at a list and be like, yep, that has 1 Soul Cauldron. I must do that as well. But, yeah, doesn't seem like the best Cauldron deck, I will say, but it still gets the job done when it eats a VV.
You side it out a lot.
Yeah, I would imagine. Hey, that makes sideboarding easier.
Okay, underway here. Richard Adams leads with that Saz's Chocobo on turn 1. Does Feber have a removal spell? There it is. Torch the tower off of a mountain. We'll clear the Chocobo before it gets too big.
Open deckless tournament 2, where you get to see 4 Snakeskin Veil, 2 Overprotect. Going to be a lot of sorcery speed instants coming from Kevin's list.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit of slow play for Adams, trying to wait until he has that mana untapped.
Definitely possible. Definitely possible. There's so many creatures in Richard Adams' decks that... Wait a minute.
That may not have been the right order for those 2.
Shouldn't there be a counter on that,
Yeah.
Chocobo? I think that is nothing but a misstep, right?
But, yeah, Llanowar Elves plus Saz's Chocobo down for Richard Adams. So now 2 creatures that Kevin Feber might want to answer.
Okay.
Has Glacial Dragon Hunt. Draw a card, see if he wants to discard 1 to pick one of the creatures off.
Is that a good one to discard?
Discards Vivi. Probably going to set up that Agatha Soul Cauldron to make you look foolish.
Of course. It doesn't take much. I do it on my own.
So rewarding.
I do it on my own. I am a big boy. Can make myself look silly all by myself. There's the big one, where if Kevin does not have another removal spell, Tifa can get out of hand.
But a big tell here for Richard Adams. Attacks with the Llanowar Elves after playing Tifa, so no Snakeskin Veil.
This is kind of the notorious VV turn from these decks, especially when you aggressively discard 1. You always discard 1 when it comes to the Cauldron deck. That is just what you're going to do because it's better in the yard than it is in play. But from the Izzet Prowess deck, you very often want to just cast that one.
Would you be willing to call Vivi the notorious VIV?
I would, yeah, absolutely. Huge Biggie fan, so any play on that, I'm in.
Okay, Astrologian's Planessphere is the play for Kevin Feber. left a mountain untapped and now has a second torch. So the Tifa is out of the way. The hero token grows to a 2/2, and things looking very good for Kevin Feebra. Multiple copies here of Torch the Tower to keep this battlefield clear in the early turns.
Yeah, Torch Tower is going to be the biggest and most important card by far.
But immediately reloading with a Mossborn Hydra is Richard Adams. That one starts as just a 1/1, but oh, no third land.
Yeah, didn't have the land last turn, so makes sense we didn't have it again. But, you know, that could mean, oh, this Hydra's not going to do anything that scary. Not true. Spring Bloom Druid can just come down next turn, get 2 triggers, get it up to 4 power immediately, and then do stuff. You know, Spring Bloom Druid in this deck is phenomenal. Kind of only costs 1, which is impressive.
And so Storm Chaser talent to play for Feebra, and wow, a third copy of Torch the Tower.
Yikes.
Everything going Kevin's way here in game 1. Plenty of cheap removal, and has these cheap threats to now turn the corner and immediately put the pressure onto Richard Adams. So Richard is not going to have much time to try to rebuild his battlefield and actually get something going once Feebra runs out of removal.
Yeah, drawing 3 Torch here. I mean, that's the best card in this matchup from Kevin's side for sure. And, you know, kind of mirror image, the Snakeskin Veils are going to be that important from Richard. But pretty clear, unless we just drew one, they were not in play. Or they were not in the hand.
Yeah. So there's a Traveling Chocobo. That could help Richard make some land drops, but no land on top as of yet.
Man, Fire Magic is going to look excellent in these post-board games. Just everything is 2 toughness until it gets out of hand.
Okay, there's land 4 for Kevin, plus an VV, and then comes across for 4 with that pumped up hero token. So Richard Adams is down to 12. But if he can hit a nice string off this Traveling Chocobo, he can turn things around in a hurry.
No, Traveling Chocobo is an incredible card. And I mean, when the fact that it doubles, you know, now you do just get to play 1 land. It's not the kind of template that we usually see with these cards where you get to play another one, Oracle Moldial type thing. But being able to play 1, if you have a Spring Bloom Druid here, being able to look at the top of your deck, not see a land, dry it away your lands, then maybe see a land, and you can do some stuff. But you really want to have something like a Saw's Chocobo, the Hydra in play, where you are doubling those effects. Otherwise, you're leaving some value on the table.
Okay, there is a Spring Bloom Druid for Richard Adams, so 1 forest going to go to the graveyard. He'll find 2 more to replace it. They will enter tapped, but he'll have a lot more mana to work with next turn, especially if he can now hit a land off the top after shuffling his deck.
Gotcha. I don't know why I thought that card was untapped, but that would have been nasty.
Yeah, it's not quite Harrow.
Yeah. Harrow with legs would be pretty strong. Yeah, this mono green deck definitely felt like a meme, but, you know, it does put up a good amount of results on Magic Online. You know, it does some big, cool things. But it's the classic mono red aggro deck. You have that initial onslaught. If you get your creatures dealt with on a 1-for-1 basis early on, it falls apart.
Yeah. This is a deck that is like a middle school math teacher teaching you about the power of exponential growth.
Yeah, yes.
Like, sure. You don't believe me, it's going to get really big. Okay. Okay, Richard does hit a land, plays it off the top, and now plays a Saz's Chocobo.
Okay.
So if he can hit another land, especially Escape Tunnel or Fabled Passage next turn, things could turn around very quickly here.
Yep.
Feebra has an end step into the Floodmaw on the Traveling Chocobo. If we were going to do that, I would have liked to see it in response to the Spring Bloom Druid.
Yeah, you would think so, as you wouldn't have the land available. And now Kevin, automatically on surface value, has the ability to play one of those spells from the yard, pump up Vivi, pump up the other creature. So we have 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. Richard is down to 3 effectively, without a chump, but, you know, has the ability to torch the tower or something. Probably the Saz's Chocobo, leave your opponent with 2 1/1s and just say, what are you going to do?
Yeah, sounds reasonable to me. There's also the Glacial Dragon Hunt in the graveyard.
Okay. So yeah, looks hellbent. So those are the option. Either flashback or torch the tower here. Kill the Saz's.
Now, do you want to bargain this torch just to scry and get rid of the Storm Chaser's talent?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds reasonable. It doesn't seem like the game where you're trying to level it. It seems like if you can have one solid follow-up
Yeah.
here, the game ends. So yeah, I like it.
Faber agrees, so counters on Vivi and the hero. Richard Adams down to 11 from the Vivi trigger, and now an attack for 8.
And could have still cast the Dragon Hunt if he really wanted to then try to draw, discard that card, kill a creature. But the creatures just don't matter on Richard's side right now. But if that was another Tifa or a Saz's Chocobo, Traveling Chocobo, any of those kind of things, you can just go for it and not put as much pressure on.
Okay, Richard Adams is going to need quite the series of draws off the top of his deck, but I do think there is a sequence that gets him back into this game.
Yeah, I mean, if you just go very big with your creatures and you just have good blockers, totally fine. Because then Kevin does have to top deck something to push through, so it's not out of the realm to put in an 8/8 into play this turn from this deck.
Yeah. Richard does decide to chump with the Springloom Druid on the hero, so he stays at 8 life from this attack. And now Kevin Faber is hellbent with just the Glacial Dragon Hunt in the graveyard. If he rips land, and the Dragon Hunt doesn't kill anything.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you can put your opponent into the abyss a little bit, probably, with this 6/6 hero, but not guaranteed.
Traveling Chocobo is the start of this turn. I think that was a Tifa on
Looks
top.
like a Tifa, yep.
That one's not going to help, nor is this second Llanowar Elves, so...
They are chump blockers. You know, I mean, that's the thing, is like, if Kevin can't find ways to push through, Richard's got a lot of chump blockers. You know, you're going to play Tifa next turn. Maybe you have some Chocobos on the top, some birds on the top, and you can just start casting spells like this. Old Traveling Chocobo is a little bit of an experimental frenzy at home.
Bieber getting a little punished here for bargaining away. He's found a get out from this sleight of hand. Could have reset that sleight of hand, potentially use it again to rebuy a spell.
Or, I mean, realistically, just leveling it up to level 3 and then casting Sleight of Hand would have looked pretty good, too. So, I think that was ambitious to sacrifice it. I don't think it was truly worth it when you didn't need something to get caught up. But, yeah, I mean, I get it. It's tempting.
So instead takes a Thunder Trap Trainer. That must have been the other card.
Like it.
That's a pretty good one.
Well, no, there's none of those in the
No?
deck, so that must be Quantum Riddler? Draw 2? Oh, baby. To the Quantum realm.
Warping a Quantum Riddler. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's might be even better.
Way better. Way better than the old Otter. And there is a, looks like an Into the Floodmaw and a land. So if you Into the Floodmaw... Oh, man. You know what's really nice, Ross?
What?
Quantum Riddler can cast Glacial from the yard. Oh, baby.
Yeah, so the two big creatures come in. Llanowar Elves will chump the hero, so 3 damage comes across. Richard Adams goes to 5. And yeah, you can make... Kevin has the VV activation available. Can make 3 mana, and then harmonize the... Ooh, doesn't see it.
Oh, you're right. Because no reason not to do that. I mean, you have an Into the Floodmaw. I want that Traveling Chocobo deadsies.
Completely agree.
Or is it not in the yard anymore? It still is, right?
Yeah, it's the third card in the graveyard. It's above a VV.
Yeah.
Beneath a torch.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's been 15 torches cast this turn, so it's got to be near a torch.
Yeah. Okay, land on the top for Richard Adams, so he plays that with the Traveling Chocobo. That must mean he doesn't have any landfall creatures in hand.
All right, that's another Saz, the Chocobo friend.
Saz Kotzroy.
Yep. Lost to that card in limited over and over and over again.
And that is a human, not a bird, so it doesn't
Correct.
get doubled by the Traveling Chocobo. But let's Richard find another bird, likely another Saz's Chocobo, because that's what he can cast.
Yeah. Anything to do some blocking. And there's no spicy one-of bird or anything. It's just Saz's Chocobo and Traveling Chocobos plus the lands. Enough synergy as both of those cards are just good on their own, and then they work together a little bit. And then only the one of the Saz human here.
Okay, Adams is at 4, so at this point, Kevin will have 2 lethal creatures in play, the VV and the hero, which means 2 jump blocks are necessary for Adams.
And there's an Into the Flood Maw, so you can end step bounce something, put Richard down to 3, force the double chump block with 2 good creatures, aka Traveling Chocobo, Saws, bounce Tifa, say whatever. Force that double block, and then, of course, you can still end the game if you draw anything.
You have the Dragon Hunt, so
but you don't have the spell. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you draw, and as long as there's a non-land in the top 2 cards, this game should be over.
That is correct.
So the Traveling Chocobo gets sent back to the hand with the Into the Flood Maw.
And that'll do it.
Yeah, even if he did miss, it's not like Adams was going to have much going on.
No,
anyway.
You're in the double abyss. You're not getting out of that very effectively.
Okay, plenty of early creature removal for Kevin Fieber, and the early missed land drops for Adams meant that he couldn't recover.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin did cast 4 Torch the Tower that game, so that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Keeping himself nice and toasty on this cold summer day. Okay, now our players are going to go to the sideboard, so we will go there with them and see what might be going on in these next 2 games. For Richard Adams, I see 2 Agatha Soul Cauldron, 3 Keen-Eyed Curator, 1 Overprotect to supplement 2 in the main, 4 Pop Hatch Recruit, 2 more copies of Saz Kotzroy, and 3 Scrap Shooter. Corey, what do you like?
Yeah, I really, really like these Pop Hatch Recruits, but you gotta think, and I guess Open Decklist, they're gonna know about Fire Magic here, so it's not the catch-all be-all, but when there is only 2 Fire Magics on the other side, I still think you probably want that card. The Scrap Shooter is also not terrible, being able to blow up, some of the artifacts and enchantments, giving your opponent a card is not ideal, but hey, sometimes you gotta do it. Plus the 4/4 body is nice. You can kind of make a case for really all these cards. Keen-Eyed Curator can do some work eating up some of the cards in the graveyard, and Cauldron to eat your opponent's VVs. I really could see a lot of cards coming in, but you definitely don't want to over-sideboard in a deck like Mono Green.
Yeah, I'm interested in the Recruits, the Keen-Eyed Curators, and maybe the Overprotect. Just max out on protection spells.
Yeah.
But the Curator, I think, is very interesting. Just being a big creature that's not going to get swept up in a Fire Magic, going to be difficult to torch early, and it's not that hard to get that thing to a 7/7.
It really isn't. No, there's so much discarding, plus you can also eat cards like Glacial Dragon Hunt. Yeah, that can do some nice work for sure.
Okay, and then Kevin Fieber, this sideboard much more varied. 1 Abrade, 2 Broadside Barrage, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Fire Magic, 1 Ghost Vacuum, 1 Kefka Court Mage,
okay.
1 Negate, 1 Obliterating Bolt, 1 Ral Crackling Wit, 2 Spell Pierce, and 1 Tashana's Tidebinder. What's striking your fancy over on the Izzet side?
Everything that kills a creature. Everything. I want a Braids. I want Broadside Barrage. That card looks incredible, by the way. Fire Magic, sure. Obliterating Bolt, why not? And really get some of the slower stuff out of your deck. Shore Up doesn't look great. There's literally, your opponent's not targeting your creatures at all. Quantum Riddler, as cool as it is, I would probably be siding that out. The Rawl, I'd be getting out of there. Just anything that kills creatures. Kefka, probably not coming in, but hey, that's a spicy one.
How do you feel about the Tashana's Tidebinder? You counter a Tifa trigger, it takes away all its abilities. Now they just have a poopy 1/2.
Yeah, that's not ideal. It is possible to deal with the Tidebinder. They do have Bushwhacks to be able to fight. But outside of that, yeah, it's probably going to be fine. Yeah, I'd probably bring that in as well. Just anything that looks slow and clunky, get out of the deck. The Soul Cauldron, Quantum Riddlers, Planeswalkers, get out. Maybe even into the Flood Maw. If you're bringing in that much removal, bounce is less important.
Shore Up, Ral.
Yeah.
There's definitely some cards that can come out. And really, I think the name of the game here, you called it, is have the early removal. It was very successful and useful in game 1.
Yeah.
Now you get to sideboard into a configuration where you have even more of it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like we saw that plan work out great. 1 Snakeskin Veil in those early turns could have easily reshaped this entire game. So I wouldn't be hyper aggressively mulliganing to them, as mulliganing to 5 and keeping a Snakeskin Veil hand with 2 creatures and 2 lands is not going to be great, but something you'll be very happy to draw of, and you'd be happy to have 1, even 2, in your opening hand.
Yeah, you overload on the removal so you don't have to mulligan to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I got to say, out of all the Izzet decks we've seen, this post-board configuration, you have a lot of removal. Maybe more removal than we've seen from basically every other Izzet deck. Fire Magic's the only other one. Like, if we were playing 3 of that, or God forbid 4, we'd be really taken off, because Fire Magic looked great that last game. If it would have ever been a 3-mana deal with 3 creatures or whatever.
Incredible card.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that is going to be one of the more unsung heroes going into this standard. Like, you think about it against Dimir, you think about it against decks like this. I think that's going to be a card we're going to look back on, and it's going to be 3 min in the board, and maybe 4 when you're a deck that gets taken advantage of by Flood Pit's Drowner, those kind of decks.
Yeah, any sort of cheap creature, go wide, aggressive strategy.
Yep. Which there's not as many of. Convoke basically got, banned with the cards that are no longer legal in the format, so I would say Mono Green probably is the go-to aggressive deck in the format.
Certainly right now. Okay, as our players finish shuffling up here for Game 2, I'd like to quickly shout out our sponsors for today's event. You can see on your screen, Mox Field. That's where all of our deck lists are sourced. Corey and I are using it right now to bring you this hard-hitting analysis. So we couldn't run these tournaments without them. Also, SpiceRack.gg, our partner running these tournaments with their wonderful software, couldn't run this tournament without them either. We are also sponsored by Ultimate Guard, the industry leader in gaming supplies. We give out a lot of swag to our players who do well in these events. Can't wait to give out more of it today, because Ultimate Guard products are just that good. So thank you to Ultimate Guard. And then last but certainly not least, Once Upon a Galaxy, a new auto battler from the people that brought you Storybook Brawl. So please check out your app store to find Once Upon a Galaxy today. It is, if you do want to play it on mobile, great. If you don't want to play it on mobile, it will be coming to Steam very soon, hopefully within the week, but certainly within the month. Okay, looks like our players are ready to begin, and I think that was a mulligan from Kevin Fieber.
Looks like it, and maybe a snap keep here from Richard. Solid stuff here to get this underway. See if this mono green deck has got what it takes, or if Richard has been carried throughout the tournament. Who knows? Who knows?
That's the fun part of the team events. Sometimes you're the person that gets carried through the Swiss, and then you're the hero in the top 8.
Hey, that's true.
Or you're like me, and you just get carried the entire time.
There you go. Win a tournament and do horrifically bad. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah. It's really hard to make the finals of a tournament when you go 6 and 8, but
in a team event, it's possible. That is for sure. I remember there was a team Grand Prix where it was my brother, BBD, and Seth, and if they removed any one of them, they still would have made the finals, just showing that they all dominated throughout the event. When you got that kind of super team, you can probably lean on your teammates a little more.
Yeah. The unfair team.
Yeah. Very unfair.
Looks like we might have a small sleeve issue. Richard Adams pointing that out. Won't be an easy one to correct.
Always happens. I shuffle my sleeves a little rough. I pretty much always have to at least exchange one. Looks like the other 2 players are still going as well, so all 3 matches still intact.
Yeah, unclear exactly what's going on the backup matches, but we will bring you as much action as we possibly can here in the quarterfinals.
I'm just guessing we're drawing some cards off 4 power creatures off to our left. I can sense it.
We're doing some battle crying.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. All right, very important for Kevin here to be able to keep a 6-card hand.
Yeah, once he starts mulliganing a little too low, then the 1-for-1s don't do as much.
Yes.
And I do see a torch in Kevin's opening hand, so can answer this line anywhere else if he wants to. He does, but does it off of a starting town. So he drops to 19, Richard Adams will untap on turn 2 with a clear board.
Not the biggest deal in this. Like, you're playing against Gruul, where they have the mouse package. They're kind of hitting you with incidental damage here and there. That can be a problem. But against this mono green deck, it kind of plays like a combo deck. You know, you're getting hit maybe for 1 or 2 here, and then 14. You know, like there's no real middle ground. But not a great turn there from Richard, that's for sure.
Yeah, just a Fabled Passage and a pass, so has a tapped land, nothing to add to the board, and this is a turn where Kevin can afford to play things like Sleight of Hand.
Yeah.
You know, set up his draws, make sure he has answers for whatever the turn 3 threat is from Richard.
And if I'm playing against Richard right now, I'm thinking, well, his other land in hand is either Fabled Passage or there are no more lands. Otherwise, you're not playing that as your second land, so would not be shocked if Richard misses a land drop here.
There's the Keen-Eyed Curator from the sideboard for Richard, and you were right, no third land.
Something good to pick up on players, you know, when they play Soulstone Sanctuary, they play Fable as the land. These are the lands that player inherently, you know, play as their last land.
Yeah, the lands that are bad at making mana.
Yes, correct. A rough mana base here, though, for Kevin. That's for sure.
Okay, but here's Roaring Furnace. That will cleanly answer this Keen-Eyed Curator.
And this is a card that I think going forward in Standard is going to be that card that was like, 1 or 2 of in the main, maybe 1 more in the sideboard, to like 3 in the main, maybe a 4th in the board. You know, I was jamming this card pre-rotation in the Izzet Cauldron decks, and it was just incredible for me, being able to have that early roast style of effect, and then have that late game mana sink when you have Vivian, Cauldron, kind of things like that going on. I think this card's incredible, and we're going to see a lot more of it.
So would you say you're a big Sauna guy?
A big Sauna guy.
Sauna guy now?
Yep, just like to, you know, just hang out, steam a bit, chill, unlock some rooms.
Maybe tomorrow we'll do the show in just towels.
Okay, absolutely.
Really bring that sauna vibe.
For the sake of our viewers, we'll never cut to us as well. Nobody wants to see that.
Okay, Kevin Feber bargains Torch the Tower, sacrificing that Roaring Furnace to deal with the Traveling Chocobo. Not something he needed to do, since the Chocobo has only 2 toughness.
Kevin hates saunas. Hates them. Not a fan. I guess just really trying to prioritize, you know, getting a mana base that isn't going to aggressively kill him, but still keep that sauna around. You know, you can. This is the kind of matchup where they do not have ways to deal with it in the graveyard. So, like, let's say, you know, something like this happens with Richard. You have a removal spell for this, and then you can untap and just unlock the room. I feel like you never lose that game, you know?
Yeah, whereas now, especially if you don't have the removal spell for this Traveling Chocobo, Adams could actually win this game on the attrition axis, which is not something you would normally expect in this matchup. It's the Izzet deck with all the card advantage.
Yeah. But, you know, contextually to the hand, of course, we don't know the exacts in there, so could have been a problem. But now we also have to consider Snakeskin Veil.
Very true. So Feber going to go for an opt on the end step. And he likes the card. That goes to the hand. Untap, take a draw.
And I think I saw a Broadside Barrage in the hand from Kevin. And while that card is amazing, a solid removal spell, you know, if you get Snakeskin Veiled, that one hurts.
Yeah, 3 mana spell getting countered for 1 mana is rough beats.
And you don't draw, right?
No.
Yeah. No looting available.
Okay,
just a pass.
Yeah, no 5th land. Which honestly isn't a huge deal for Feber. He's trying to win this game on the attrition axis, doesn't really want to flood. Has enough mana to function, so he doesn't necessarily need to find more lands right now. If he had something like Stormchaser's Talon or had that Steaming Sauna still in play, then making the 5th and 6th land drops becomes more important.
Yeah. Cactus Sheriff is here.
Okay, Bristly Bill is the first play for Richard Adams. Still has a land drop he can make, even off the top of his deck if it's there. But Feber goes for an Into the Floodmaw in response on the Traveling Chocobo, potentially sensing a land on the top of the library.
Or the classic, that's bait. You know, wanting that to be something you protect, and then you go for the barrage. So I like that play from Kevin. And it totally was bait. You know, that is something Kevin wanted Richard to fight over. And either Richard didn't have it, or doesn't have the Snakeskin Veil.
very clearly doesn't have the Snakeskin
Yeah.
Veil now that a Braid resolves on the Bristly Bill in response to this Bushwhack.
Yeah.
So Richard Adams going to get a Forest to his hand. Might not even want to play that one just yet.
Yeah, maybe not, unless you got a 2-drop like a Tifa or something to play. But even that, it's wide open. Kevin didn't play a land, didn't play anything proactive, so the hand's either removal spells or stock ups.
Now, does Adams have a follow-up? Plays land 5, but no play with it. Interesting.
So far, there's just been a clinic from Kevin. Just in control from the very beginning.
Yeah. I wonder what that 5th land could mean. Maybe Traveling Chocobo plus Overprotect?
Yeah.
And then you want to be able to play a 6th land off the top. And here is that stock up from Kevin Feber. You called that one. It's an excellent card here on an empty board where you're trading a bunch of resources. Yeah. Feber going to refill that hand, make sure he has even more removal, even more interaction. Maybe getting to the point where he wants to find a VV, a Quantum Riddler, or something to start really taking over this game.
Nah, never. The only proactive spell I want to be keeping from stock up is Roaring Furnace to be able to enter the Steamy Sauna. As that's just all I want. I want to kill creatures and just not care about my win con. The win con will come.
Well,
just kill everything.
I have some bad news for you, Corey.
Yep.
There's only one Steamy Sauna in the deck.
No.
And that's in the graveyard.
No. Come on, Kevin. Play some more saunas. It's good for your pores.
You'll just be staying bone dry this game.
Dang it. All right, fair enough. But all jokes aside, I do think that is going to be a card that people look back on from week 1 and be like, I should have played more of that card. It was incredible.
Such a good mana sync with VV.
Yeah.
And this is a deck that actually wants to use all those mana syncs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's better in the Derek Davis version of Izzet Cauldron, but it's still fine here for sure. Ooh.
Is that a different?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a misstep there. And hey, that's a real cost to playing different versions. I get it. I mean, they're traveling chocobos. I assume they're all, expensive cards or whatever, where you just take them whenever you can. But, you got to play the one your opponent knows about, or you just gave away free information.
Yeah, just a slight information leak from Richard Adams. We'll see if that changes Feber's play. Does find a Saz's Chocobo off the top, so starting to generate some card advantage from these traveling Chocobos, and that, that's just sort of like his version of stock up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then a Fabled Passage off the top.
Okay, so that's 2 counters on the Saz's Chocobo.
Yep.
Because the traveling Chocobo doubles it.
We are doing it.
Decides he doesn't like the top card. Well, let's fetch for another Forest. That's 2 more counters. Now 4/5 Saz's Chocobo.
Yeah, popping off here.
And still 2 more mana to work with. Could have Overprotect up here. Could play a Tifa. Could play Bristly Bill.
Yeah. And already you have a big creature. I mean, these birds work well together, believe it or not. These dang flightless birds.
They're birds of a feather. They flock together.
Fair enough. That's what that expression's about, huh?
Yeah, it was about this deck.
I knew it. Old expression for rather newly printed cards, but you know what? I don't argue. Oh, boy. Okay, this is an experimental bird frenzy.
Yeah, another Saz's Chocobo off the top.
Oh, God. One more Saz's Chocobo, and we just give Richard the trophy. All right.
Back to Kevin Feber. What does he have to now deal with this pretty substantial battlefield of birds?
I mean, there is Broadside Barrage. I saw that in the hand, ages ago. So you can do some nice work to the big Saz's Chocobo, but the biggest threat still is Traveling Chocobo.
Yeah. And if you kill that one, you have to know if you're Kevin, there's another one in Richard's hand.
Yeah, if you're paying attention as well. You never know. It's been a long day for these players, that's for sure.
Here's a Glacial Dragon Hunt.
Okay.
Feber will get a counter on his hero from the Planessphere, draw a card. Now, does he want to discard a card?
I would assume yes. So that Traveling Chocobo, do the Snakeskin Veil test.
Yeah. Tishana's Tidebinder the discard, so that came in out of the sideboard.
Yep. And now there is that Broadside Barrage, unless I didn't see it right. Where after this, Richard's body language, all the kind of things point to there is not a snakeskin veil. So I would do this too. Snap it off now. If it's there, it's not the absolute worst, but this would show some great restraint if Richard does have it here. I would have loved it.
He does not. The barrage, you draw and discard. And this is the third card drawn for the turn for Kevin Feber, so he should be getting another counter on the hero.
Ooh,
Does
but
he remember
no
it?
one remembers it. Oh.
He does not, but he does come in for 3. So Richard Adams now down to 17.
Yeah, so Kevin, that was the second minor misstep. We had that warp, earlier in the last game where you could do that cool stuff with the Glacial Dragon Hunt. And then this minor thing. Little things like this, aren't the end of the world. But, did we top deck that? Oh, that one was in hand. We knew about that.
Very lucky.
Very lucky.
The real luck is there a land on top, so he can start building up this second Sausage Chocobo.
And the ultimate luck is there a Fabled Passage on top?
I'd take an escape tunnel.
I'm
basically the same right now.
Yeah. You take that back, okay? Do not do Fabled Passage dirty like that.
Hey. At this point, escape tunnel might be better. Maybe you want to give something unblockable.
Oh, God.
Got that Tifa in there.
Yeah, there we go. Sausage Chocobo, unblockable, no blockers anyways, whatever.
Hey, only 2 cards left back for Kevin Feber, so there's been a lot of resource trading going on, and Richard Adams, despite playing the aggro deck, has really kept up on that card advantage axis.
Yeah.
Very impressive showing from the Mono Green Landfall deck that this is still a game when Kevin Feber has had so much removal in the early turns.
This has got to be Mono Green Birds, right?
It's Landfall, Birdfall.
Birdfall, I like that. Yep. Birds falling. I don't like it. I don't like the flavor, but you know what?
Okay, there's a land from hand for Richard. So Sausage Chocobo gets 2 counters. That's a 2/3.
I feel like this is Richard's first monumental attack here.
And there's a Tifa.
Okay.
Comes in for 2. Feber down to 13. Now the card he's going to be looking for. Spring Bloom Druid.
Yep. If they're left in, I mean, you got to take out some cards. That could be one of them that gets taken out. But the flip side for Kevin is looking for Fire Magic.
Very much so. We've now entered a bit of a tough spot for this Landfall deck, right? We've entered the late game, and normally when you enter the spot, you want to stop drawing lands. You want to draw spells, but you also need lands in this deck to make your cards work.
Yep. That is always the trouble with Landfall decks in general. They're very good early on because, well, your lands count as spells, essentially. You're putting counters on things. You're getting boosts. So your lands look way better in these decks than they do in other decks. But, yeah, once you get a little too late where you're playing understated creatures that need lands, outside of having a traveling chocobo, sometimes you just can't get there.
Yeah, good news for Richard. He does have a traveling chocobo, so
not for long.
As long as that stays in play.
The last card is a torch from Kevin, so it's just
Okay.
where does it want to go, Tifa or the chocobo?
Goes for the Tifa. I would have gone straight at traveling chocobo. I don't know about you.
I also wouldn't have sacked anything, right? Does Kevin know you don't have to bargain with these torch to towers?
Maybe he just likes a good deal.
Yeah, I guess that's a bargain. But so far, I mean, that's 3 bargains where 3 times it was not needed to kill anything. Because if you have a snakeskin veil, it's protected anyways.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that Tifa is going to survive based on the 3 damage. Also, would you kill the Tifa or would you kill the chocobo?
I would kill the traveling chocobo, but Kevin goes for the Tifa. Scared of that one. Certainly
I'd be scared of both, to be honest. But
yeah. Now can Richard punish him and hit a string of cards off the traveling chocobo? He's got to hit something pretty soon. He's under a lot of pressure from these heroes. There's a second Planesphere played last turn for Feber. That was already up to a 3/3, the hero. And the previous one is up to a 6/6. Spring Bloom Druid. Okay, so this is 2 landfall triggers. That's going to be 4 counters on the Sausage Chocobo. It is now a 6/7.
that's a pretty good 1-drop.
And we reset the top of the deck for Traveling Chocobo.
Yeah, this isn't Paul Ritzel's Step Links, okay? These Sausage Chocobos are the real deal.
You know what card could also be a good draw at this point?
Huh.
Keen-Eyed Curator.
Yeah,
Lots
that's
of food
true.
in the graveyard to
That's
eat.
true.
That's basically just a 7/7 trampler.
Yeah. I mean, it just is. Yeah. That would be incredible right now. And shutting down the Storm Chasers talent. Like, that is online for next turn. Kevin might not have a lot of cards, if any cards. I don't think so. But does have access to one removal spell. One bounce spell for the Sausage Chocobo.
Okay.
And, yeah, everything's coming up Richard so far. I think Mono Green is definitely favored here.
So the 6/7 Sausage Chocobo is coming across. Kevin at 13.
I feel like Richard is not at 17, though. Didn't he just take a hit for 6?
Yeah, I think he's at 11.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was a chump block on that.
I don't think so either, yeah. So life totals might be a little wrong here. We'll yell at them. We'll
Kevin?
yell at them from here.
Fever deciding to chump block the Sausage Chocobo. There is Keen-Eyed Curator, so Storm Chaser's talent not going to be able to rebuy one of those Torch the Towers or into the Flood Maws for Kevin Fever. That is huge.
Yes.
He now has to knock the top of his deck and find something juicy. Good piece of interaction, stock up. Adams taking a look at the graveyard. Might want to take this Glacial Dragon Hunt immediately since he has 2 mana still. So he uses one of it to take the Dragon Hunt. And now he can leave another mana up to stop the talent.
And is 1 mana away from his best draw possible being very strong, and Firaga does not have 6 mana available. That draw would be incredible, but not available.
Ooh. So Fever was thinking about opting, and yeah, his teammate is like, why don't we want to equip? Maybe make that
because
bigger.
I'm dead then.
Yeah.
That's why, teammate.
Fever needs his mana.
Yeah. Needs to find something juicy here, and man, I don't even know a good draw. Like, that's the thing is, these Izzet Prowess decks, Izzet mid-range, whatever it really is, as strong as they are, they actually don't play from behind that well. They're really well and truly that kind of tempo-style deck. The Cauldron deck plays great from behind because all of a sudden, boom, you Cauldron a VV, and all of a sudden you can cast half your deck. But with this, it's much more measured approach.
Yeah, and at this point, there's 3 very important threats that he has to answer on the other side of the battlefield. The Traveling Chocobo, the Keen-Eyed Curator, and the Sausage Chocobo.
That might have been the biggest threat, though. Like, at this point, that was not bad.
Yeah, if Adams can't find another land, the hero is a 7/7. That'll check the Sausage Chocobo. Yeah, now an 8/8, actually. But a single land will get the Sausage Chocobo up to an 8/9. And then Fever's in more trouble. I suppose he could take one other hit.
Yeah, and still has at least 1 card in hand. So Richard, spells are good, lands are good.
Actually, that's another slight mistake here from Fever. Could have equipped the second Planessphere to the hero, gotten another counter on it from the Abrade.
Yeah, easily could have.
And then you'd have an 8/9 or a 9/9 that checks a potential 8/9 Sausage Chocobo if there's a land drop for Adams.
Yeah.
That could be huge.
Yeah, a little bit of a sloppy play here. Yeah, before the Abrade, no reason not to. I get it before the opt.
Yeah.
Not casting it there, but all right, getting busy.
Okay, Springloom Druid chumps the hero, which comes in, and now Fever might just be dead.
Yeah, easily might not be. Is that a land? It looks like Llanowar, which is the worst possible.
Yep. Just stone worst possible.
But what is that other card you got, Richard? Well, it's not a land.
Doesn't even come in with the Traveling Chocobo, so I guess wants to leave 2 blockers back, but
Okay.
is Richard in danger of dying? His life total hasn't updated. We think he's lower.
Yeah, let's maybe get an accurate life total there, but there is the Sharpshooter. I don't even think you want to give him a card.
Yeah, just play a 4/4.
Yeah, 4/4 reach. Anything you're going to just... I mean, you might want to get that Storm Chaser's talent if there's something reasonable. Because that already represents a card. But I know the Flood Maw was gone, so maybe there's not a 1/1. Okay.
Adams is at 11.
11-7.
Looks like Adams didn't have it noted on his own deck sheet, and that's what our spotter was following.
Excellent. Excellent.
So Torch the Tower coming back from the Storm Chaser's talent for Kevin Fever.
I mean, yeah, now this, with that being in the yard, it does look a little loose that Sharpshooter didn't destroy the talent because, well, your Traveling Chocobo is just dead now. Where maybe you wanted to try to gift them a card to prevent that, but that could go wrong as well,
Okay, Feber does bargain with the talent. Get another counter on the hero. And now the hero being a 9/9
Okay.
means Feber has the biggest thing on the board.
And if there wasn't for that little misstep last turn, it would be an 11-11.
Still wouldn't be able to attack. Richard jumps with the Llanowar Elves and then has lethal coming back.
But that's a good number when your opponent's at 11.
It is. There's a tap starting town, empty-handed for Feber. We think this card is another Llanowar Elves for Richard.
Yeah, and now you can't look at the top of the deck.
And this means he's still 1 damage short even next turn.
Oh, yeah, that's why you definitely had to gift a card, because you knew you're drawing a brick, and any land is just so good. So, yeah, that sharpshooter, I think, had to do it.
Okay, Planesphere moves over to the hero, and now a third Planesphere is the draw for Kevin Feber, so that'll put 2 counters on the original hero and create another one. And
Overprotect is still lethal, though.
yes, Overprotect would be lethal here.
I want to say that's an escape tunnel. And if it was, you know, that would have been a land we'd play off the top with the Traveling Chocobo. Everything kind of unraveled here with just minor decisions by both players, you know?
What do you think about using the tunnel this turn to get in for 1 with the Llanowar Elves? That way, Feber's at 6, and if you draw like a Bushwhack and Feber bricks, you win.
A Bushwhack? Oh, just the fight? Yeah, okay.
So like you open yourself up to drawing Bushwhack if Feber bricks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally fair.
Adam's going to play and sacrifice the escape tunnel. The sacrifice seems strange to me.
Yeah, because you're not attacking with that anyways.
Yeah,
right?
you could save it for a later landfall trigger. If you found another Traveling Chocobo, it could reset the top of your deck.
Yeah.
It could, if you found a Tifa, it could make the Tifa unblockable on a key turn.
Yeah. Man, Escape Tunnel is meant for Tifa, to say the least.
There's a lot of things Richard could have saved that escape tunnel to do. Instead, just going to be knocking the top of his deck.
Yeah. Okay, Overprotect, and I'm still going for it. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, keep getting it bigger, I guess, but...
So that's a 9-10 versus an 11-11. They're going to be hard for Richard to outpace this.
Yep. Okay.
And there's a VV. That's another blocker.
Another blocker, so that would more than likely mean Overprotect is done winning the game.
Moves a Planesphere over to the VV. Interesting that he moved the one on the hero that was alone. I think it would have been better off to just have a Planesphere on all 3 creatures.
Bang! Saz's Chocobo.
Richard is down 2 Traveling Chocobos. He has 2 more.
Yeah.
And potentially like anywhere from like 0 to 3 Saz Kotzroy.
Yep, 2 lands from Kevin as well. And maybe we can get an update from our back table. See if this game is for the match. Because
Bristly Bill.
oh, doubling these counters.
That's a way to outpace with Saz and Chocobo.
There's a new sheriff in town.
Yep, hero chumps.
Wow, okay.
Okay, Kevin Feber is now in the abyss.
And here is a true reason to be keeping those lands in hand. Saz's Chocobo, the tiny one, sure, it would only had 1 counter here, but you double that, and then you double that. You know, like, that would make 2 gigantic threats. A land will still create a second gigantic threat. When you have this much mana, the old Bristly Bill gets it done.
I think Adams has 12 total mana with the Llanowar Elves, so he can quadruple the counters on this Sausage Chocobo. The old 36-37.
Yes, yes. Thank God you can count that high. All right, did we do it?
I think he only did it once.
Okay. That's a good fight spell.
There's a Bushwhack, and this is lethal with only 1 blocker.
Looks like we might be heading to game 3, as that's a island in hand.
Or is he thinking about finding a land?
I guess that's okay, too. He's like, you got it, you got it. Honestly, a land is maybe better because you put a counter on your sharpshooter, Saz gets a counter, double, so you get 4 counters on 2 creatures when you get a land instead of a fight spell. But getting to kill a free 11/11 is pretty good as well. So what is going on with these back tables?
Unclear.
Oh, it's over? Oh, okay. So that was just for fun, looks like Derek Davis's team advances here to the top 4.
Oh, man. I wanted to see a game 3 in that match.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yep. Make them sit back down. We got sausage chocobos to cast.
I've got to say, impressive that the Mono Green Landfall deck could win a game that goes that long.
Yeah.
But I think part of it was the way that Kevin Feber approached the game.
Yeah.
You brought it up with all the bargaining that he did, being very aggressive with that. It looked like he played the game just taking for granted that he was going to win if the game went long enough.
Yeah.
And in doing that, he actually took away his late game advantage. He
Yeah.
could have had a lot more card advantage over the course of that game, and 1 or 2 extra cards would have locked it up.
The sauna. That's all I'm saying. I mean, there was so many turns when he passed with 5 mana. If that was, he would have drew an extra 4 or 5 cards.
Yeah.
And the bargain, I mean, you don't know this is going to happen, but the bargain's right to the top anyway. So it's literally in vain to bargain that sauna away anyways.
Kevin Feber bought himself a bad bargain.
A bad bargain.
Bad bargain.
You know, just had the opportunity to just, chill out in a sauna and said, no, I don't want to.
Yeah, and as a result, it's Richard Adams who's going to be wheeling and dealing into the semifinals.
To be fair, Richard was already going to be wheeling dealing into the semifinals since his team won. Oh, sorry. Okay.
It was, his team saw how he was fighting there in that second game, and it lifted their morale and allowed them to win their own games and matches.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's how it worked.
Gotcha.
We don't have a great angle on the feature match area from the booth, but I can tell.
We'll never know, I guess.